One day I decided to invite this kinda weird girl over to my house as no one ever wanted to hang out with her and I felt a little bit bad. I told her to meet me in this classroom after the last bell went for the end of the day. I walked all the way to the classroom and she wasn't there. I was really confused as that's where I told her to go. At this point I was bursting for a piss cause the old fat teacher named Pat didn't let me go during the lesson. I made the decision to go to the toilet and maybe she would be there when I got back. When I got to the toilet, there was someone in one of the cubicles having the biggest shit ever. It stunk of moldy eggs, clothing pegs, hairy legs, picture frame, really lame, my idol.
Charlie Grace D'Amelio.
Touchy-feelio, bug-infested rat, ugly hat, wet dog, greasy fog, shiny spoon, the cow jumped over the moon, loud fan, white van, stinky feet, your outfit is neat, flying bird, donkey turd, deep sleep, big leap, shit started to seep under the cubicle door. I screamed and jumped onto the sinks and asked who it was. It was Toenail Tabby, the girl who was meant to come round to my house. In that moment I was so glad she didn't do that in my house, otherwise we would have had to live on the streets as the plumbing bill would have been like $1 million. I had to walk her up to medical covered in her own shit as I couldn't just leave her there. Her mom picked her up and took her home. The next day she wasn't in school as it turns out she didn't have bowel cancer, but shitty stinky runny-itis. So one day I went to the history museum with my friends because we really wanted to see the dinos. I was super excited to go and I had packed my awesome lunchbox with my super duper scrummy yummy ham sandwich. It was halfway through the day when we got to all the sick fossils. I looked over and saw this girl's mom holding her up to take a photo next to the fossil. But then all of the sudden nom nom chom chom. Her head was gone, clean from her neck. I screamed so hard that my vocal cords got minced just like minced meat. Me and my group ran as fast as we could towards the exit door. Everyone was yelling as this massive fossil dinosaur was chasing after us with rage in its eyes. Some people got shoved behind and their poor unfortunate souls got squished squashed crackle snackle bish bash bosh oh my gosh underneath the feet of the dinosaur. Some kid got shot so far into the air I'm convinced he is in Earth's orbit. I was sweating so bad and all of my friends were yelling for everyone to get out. I heard this baby shard its diapers splash dash squelch in fear. Me and my friends managed to escape the museum with a few snapple apple MC tackle knackle shackle oops scoop scoop snoops dog broken rib cages and butt bones. The museum was blown up with an atomic bomb bim bam boom sassy explosion and it was never to be seen again. Me and my friends went to hospital and thought we were going to be okay. But then the whole hospital went snap crack bang dingle mingle hoop loop shit mit row row raw in the air and got eaten by the dinosaur. Thanks for listening. So basically one day my entire year group was on a school trip to this weird history museum. Honestly I didn't even want to go because all it is looking at all of these musty crusty, very dusty old cars, but we all had to go anyways. Halfway through the day we had this tour around a different section of the museum. It was going okay until the ugly stinky girl from my class put up her hand and said she needed to go for a fat shit. The tour guide said no to Shitty Sophie and that she needed to wait until the tour was over. So we continued around the museum until Shitty Sophie stopped walking and then all of the sudden she let out the most stenchy, very clenchy fart I have ever smelled in my entire life. It was so stinky I almost fainted. The walls were painted. Minecraft block. Hickory dickory dock. The mouse ran up the clock. Fell on the floor. Very poor. Got hit by a car. Chucked very far. Explosive tar. The towers started to lean. Biggest shit I have ever seen. It was such a stinky fart that all of the cars in the tour room started to grow mold on them. The once pink-looking car was now covered in green mold. Shitty Sophie was sat on the floor crying, but pretty much everyone was dead. The museum closed that day as all of the cars and historic things had contracted bowel cancer. Also one day I was sat at school next to this stinky-ass kid called Bobby Lobby. He literally had fleas and nits coming out of his hair but the teacher would not let me move away from him no matter how much I asked him. One day when we were in English class Bobby Lobby let off the biggest shart I have ever heard. I swear it was so loud it could have blown the classroom walls away. It was so stinky. Needed a binky. Shot me into the car. Flew to Mars. Whacked me with a plank. Robbed a bank. Ship sank. Sat at a till. Jack and Jill went up the hill. Monkey shit. Fell in a pit. Wanted to hit. Blew off my head. Died in bed. Stockpile. Ran a mile. Didn't smile. Swam in shit. Babysit. Licked a clock. Chicken flock. I almost threw up all over Bobby Lobby. The shit started seeping all over his chair and dripping on the floor. The teacher walked over to him and slipped on the shit. He fell over and smashed his head on the side of Bobby Lobby's desk. Everyone started fainting because the classroom stunk so bad. Bobby Lobby got sent home and that day he went to the hospital and it turns out he had bowel cancer. When I was little everyone in school would always bring in their favorite toy to play with during golden time. All of the people in my class would fight over who had the best toy in the room. One day I decided to bring in my Peppa Pig stuffed animal. It had a little speaker inside and would play the awesome theme tune when I got to school that day and it got to golden time. I got my Peppa toy out and everyone in the class was so very jealous that they were physically bowing to me asking me to play with it. This girl called Yucky Yasmin Throw-Upsin had her Paw Patrol toy and no one wanted to even look at it. It kinda looked like one of those messed up SpongeBob popsicles but dog version. Its eyes were on its stomach and it was basically a demented cow. She was so mad that she grabbed my Peppa toy and ripped out the speaker. I was so angry that I pulled the biggest scream that almost ripped the teacher's ears off her head. It sounded like a foghorn. Heads were torn. Scooby snacks. Broken backs. Pepsi can. Strange man. Blown away by a fan. Bath bomb. Stinky mom. Shit perfume. Zoomed around the room. Fat chunky monkey. Smells like funky. Dead plants. Pants in your ants. Frozen peas. Wobbly knees. I grabbed Yucky Yasmin's Paw Patrol toy and put it right into the teacher's paper shredder because that's where it belonged. When it came out of the shredder it didn't even look any different to when it went into the shredder. So I decided to take it and dunk it into the PVA glue. Yucky Yasmin started to cry and ran out of the school. I went home and happily got my Peppa toy fixed. But Yasmin in the end found out that she had no more Paw Patrol toy. Hehe.